Hello and welcome back to the Life and Lessons of Me. I'm your host, Jordan, or me. I gotta stop with that. I need a new intro. um, but it's fine. So, on today's episode, I want to go off of what I talked about on the last episode, um, and kind of talk about where my life is at and kind of how I got there. Um, so as you know, life is not really a straight line. People think it's a straight line. It's not. It's more like a curvy, wavy line with loop the loops, and because sometimes you go backwards instead of forwards, and then like backwards leads to forwards, like a loop the loop. You go in forwards, you go backwards, and then you go out forwards again. So that's kind of what life is like. It's a series of loop the loops and like curves, and like it's not a straight line. It definitely is not. And so that's why you can't plan everything out. You can have goals and things, and that's what I'm working on now. It's like having new goals and just moving forward. So I'm going to talk about the journey. So like people who are in the bad part, you have to go through the bad to get to the good. And that's what, you know, people don't always like. And yeah, it's difficult to go through bad things and come out on top and use the bad to lead to the good. Like that's the thing that I've learned how to do is use my hardship to my own benefit. And that's what I think, life is about. It's kind of figuring it out as you go. It's not straightforward, it's not easy, and something I have also learned is that nothing worth doing is easy. So like getting through the bad stuff, that's hard. It's not easy. But if you can do that, if you can use what you've been through to your advantage, you will come out on top of it. And that's something that people have some trouble understanding is like they don't see the point to all the hardship and all the pain and whatever. But there is a point. There absolutely is a point. And the point is to teach you something, to lead you to where you're supposed to be going. So 2 years ago when I started college, it sucked. Okay. Let's be real. It sucked. My college experience was basically ruined by COVID because, yeah, let's just say COVID sucked. There was only like 1,000 kids on campus. Nobody was doing anything. There wasn't events. It was all just partying in basements. And of course, I can't go down steps. Well, I could, but yeah, it just was not a good thing. It was blah, blah, not good. Couldn't have guests in your dorm. Couldn't do anything basically. Yeah, COVID sucked. And then I'm looking at all my friends like having a great time at college, and I'm just like, man, if only I had that experience, maybe I would still be living in school. But no, but after having that bad experience and having to figure out what the heck I was doing with my life, like I didn't like my major. I had to, I basically transferred schools and restarted almost. Yeah, I got some credits from my experience and time at University of Delaware, but I basically restarted. And by that point, I was somewhat behind my classmates or whatever. Um, but I don't feel behind. I feel like I've been working hard. I've done a lot the past year. I got my license, getting my car, um, school, fixing my attitude, like mental health stuff. That's a lot of stuff. And on top of that, I've had issues with like who's helping me and like people calling off, and like my mom's been super stressed because she's had to like basically quit her job to help me because all these aides keep calling off, and it's a wacky thing. But that's just what my life is like. So I've adapted to all that. I've adapted to having to juggle, you know, on a day-to-day basis, basically. Like, and at school I had to come home a lot and it just wasn't great. But, I've kind of rebuilt myself since then. I've, gone through a lot in the past 2 years, like I've said. And, it's led me to here where I'm like feeling confident about school, feeling confident about what I want to do. Um, at least have a sense of what I want to do. And it's led me to, I think I want to do psychology, go major in that. And, I have a good idea of what I actually want to do. And, it's helped my mom with her business, kind of be like on the psychology side of it. Um, because she's been talking about how her clients use her like a therapist when really that's not her job. Her job is to coach people through divorce and make it an easier transition. But I was thinking like if I have a psychology degree, I can be covering, you know, a lot of that like day-to-day stuff that her clients have issues with, and she can be helping them with the divorce stuff, and we can help each other grow her business and make a bunch of money. And yeah, it sounds like a good plan to me. And now I'm getting my car, like all of that stuff that I've been through. If I wasn't going through that, I don't think I would have ended up with psychology. You know what I mean? Like the journey leads you to the destination, obviously, but people are like, it's about the journey, not the destination. Well, I think it's about both things. The journey leads you to the destination. What that this destination you know, is unknown for a long time until you know, have gone through all the stuff and come out on top of it. That's the thing. Like, if you are still struggling, it's definitely hard to see where life is going, But if you're in my position, which, I've had the opportunity to get to this position by, really sitting down by myself for like a year and really like refocusing and, you know, doing things that have led me to here, which is I think I want to be a psychologist and go from there. I'm not necessarily planning out all the steps involved to get there yet. I know once I'm finished my general studies degree, I'm gonna go transfer to Westchester, I think, and go into psychology or communications. But I think I'm going with psychology because communications is a big part of psychology. So, I'll be learning communications subjects and psychology stuff. Um, I'm actually pretty happy with where I'm at right now. There's obviously some stuff I still need to work on and do, but getting to this point has not been easy. But now, having been through all that, like the point is you have to go through it to get to where you're going. Like the only way past the hardship is to go through it. You know, it's like Dora can't go under it, can't go over it, gotta go through it. Like it's the only way. And a lot of it is being okay with not being okay. Like, that's a big part of it. People don't want to be not okay. They're resistant to it. But part of the thing is you got to go with the flow. So if it's hard right this second, just let it be hard. Don't resist it. Just never give up. Be determined to get through it. And that's the mentality you have to have, even if you're not feeling so great. You know, you have to be determined to get through it. And I don't think it's a smart move to, you know, not do it. Like people have to embrace their problems. That's what I've done. Embraced my problems and gone forward. And it's led me to here. And that's something that, really is amazing. Like once you get to where it gets good and where you can see, the light at the end of the tunnel, it's pretty good. Life is actually not that bad. It's not easy getting there, but once you're there, it's so rewarding. Like, like I said before, nothing worth doing is easy. If it's hard, it's the right decision. If you're scared, it's the right decision. That's what people, you know, aren't sure of, and that's something that I want to help teach people is, you know, if it sucks right now, that doesn't mean it's going to suck forever. And that's what people are like thinking, like it's going to suck like this forever, but it's not. And, a lot of the young people, like it's a real systemic issue. Like people need to be told this, they don't necessarily need to be told like, oh, you're full of crap and you're not actually feeling this way. Like, yeah, your feelings need to be validated. At the same time, they need to be repaired a little bit. That's the whole point of working on yourself, is to come out on top and be the best version of yourself. And the only way to get there is through the hardship. That's what I'm saying. Like, if you read the Bible, everyone struggled before they got to the good part. You know, sometimes it took years, like long time. So if it sucks right now, keep on keeping on, work on yourself, think about what you want to be, like who you want to be. Think about that, the kind of person you want to be. Take a step back from life for a bit, you know, figure it out. Figure out what you want to do, what you want to try to do. You don't have to figure out everything right now. Nobody actually knows what they're doing. They're just kind of figuring out as they go. And that's what I'm doing. Like, that's what I've done, is figured it out as I go. Life is going to change for me majorly once I get my car. It's going to be a completely different life. And that's what's so amazing to me, is that I get a fresh start pretty much. You know, um, After high school, took a while to get to this point, but I think, you know, this is the start that I've been waiting for. And it takes a lot of waiting and a lot of patience and a lot of hard work, but eventually, you'll get to the point in life where it doesn't seem so bad. But you have to understand that there is a point to everything you've been through. You have to find out what it is. For me, it was being able to understand people on a deeper level, being able to understand people's issues without necessarily experiencing them all myself. I'm unique in the ability that I have to connect with people on that level. And that's what I want to be doing in my career. That's like what I feel like is my calling, is the purpose for all the suffering and all the pain and all the hardship, was to get to this point where it doesn't suck. And I'm confident going into the world, you know, I'm confident in the person that I am. I like the person that I am. I still sometimes compare myself to others, which is bad, but you know, it's just, it is what it is. But I think social media has caused major disconnect between, my message, like, you have to go through the pain, you have to get to where you're going, as opposed to, why is this happening? Woe is me. Like, I'm not a fan of that attitude. But if that's you, that's fine. You can think that way for now, but you got to flip that around. You got to flip the attitude around. You got to be like, this is for a purpose. I might not know what the purpose is yet, but it absolutely is for a purpose. So just because you don't know what the purpose is yet doesn't mean that there isn't one, and that's something that I've been dealing with my friends. Like, I want to show them that even with what they're dealing with, they can still have a positive attitude and a good outlook on life, because look at me. Some people have it worse than me, some people have it easier than me. I'd say I definitely have it worse than some people, like, absolutely. And if I can do it with all this extra stuff, like, I'm a regular guy, so I have, regular issues that most people have nowadays, which is like mental health stuff and all that. But then, like, my parents are also divorced, so that, like, is another aspect that kind of is meh. But then I have, like, the physical ailment, you know. So if I can deal with all of that and still come out on top and think, hey, there's a purpose to all this junk, like, you know, perhaps it was easier for me because, with a random mutation, there better be a purpose to this. You know what I mean? Like, if there isn't a purpose, it truly is like sucky. Like, why would I have gone through all of this stuff if it wasn't to become who I am today? You know what I mean? And that's what I think about the hardship and all that. Like, yeah, it took me a while to come out on top, like since maybe middle school. So like it's been more than a 2 year thing. It's been at least like an 8 year thing, like or 7 year. Like since I was 13 to now, it has been like sucky, but now it's great. Like I don't see any problem with life right now. And sure, I'm, you know, having to figure out, my own life, like my independence is happening. Like that's crazy to me and I, appreciate the journey and I definitely like where it's going. Like I like where I'm headed. So if you can try and, you know, understand your pain and suffering in a way that leads you to a purpose, that leads you to a potential career, that leads you to like an infinite number of possibilities. Like all you have to do is make it through the hardship. And I know people can do it because I've done it. And if I can do it, you can do it. And I wish that, you know, my friends use me as more of an example than they do. Like, look at me and, ask, like, how did you do it? And I'll be like, it wasn't easy and still getting there, but I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. I'm almost there. It's almost, I'm almost done. And yes, I'm not at the destination yet, but I can see where it's going. So be confident that you can get to a point where life is good and the suffering makes sense. Be confident, be determined that it will get better and it will. It might not be instantaneous. Like, you got to be patient. You got to, like I said, have determination and confidence, and eventually it'll get better. And I'm not here to tell you that it'll get instantly better because it certainly won't. But if you can figure out like where you kind of want to be somewhat, like if you can look at yourself and be like, here's what I need to change and here's what's good and I don't need to change. You have to really break it down into, you know, those kind of things. Like, and eventually you will find a point to the madness. I know it sucks, but you'll get there. And I have faith in you, and you should have faith in yourself too. And with that, I'm going to end the episode. And I hope I'm helpful. And I hope you learned something and gain some more confidence in the journey. And yeah, it's going to do it for this episode of The Life and Lessons of Me. And I'll catch you on the next one.